Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at mindfulness.
Okay.
And specifically, we're going to be taking a look at how mindfulness is presented in the Anuruddha Sutta, which is a record of a conversation from a Saturday night Dhamma gathering.
Yeah, that's right. It's a live conversation about the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha.
And one of the things that really stood out to me about this particular sutta is that it says that this Dhamma, this teaching, is only for those who have cultivated mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Which got me thinking, like, what does that mean, that this teaching isn't for the mind-wandering type?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it really points to how central mindfulness is to understanding and benefiting from the Buddha's teachings.
Okay.
So the sutta uses this term saranam sati, which essentially means mindfulness is what makes us mindful. It's the act of remembering the wholesome.
So you're saying it's not just about remembering good deeds that we've done.
It's deeper than that. It's about the quality of our remembering. So there's remembering through mindful awareness, and then there's remembering based on past conditioning and attachment, what the Sutta calls unconscious remembering.
So like when you can't stop replaying an embarrassing moment, even though you would rather forget it?
Exactly. Or when intrusive thoughts about past hurts just keep popping up.
Yeah.
Or anxieties about the future keep you up at night.
Uh-huh.
Or you mistake a person who's now hostile towards you as a friend just because of your past association with them.
Right.
That's unconscious remembering pulling us in.
So it's like these memories haunt us, and then they kind of like distort how we're seeing the present moment.
Yeah, you said it. Unconscious remembering brings up past emotions as if they're happening right now.
Right.
And then this colors our perception and our reactions.
And the Sutta gives a really powerful story to illustrate this point. Something about a monk at a peace march.
Yes, this monk is walking in a peace march, and he experiences physical pain, and this pain gets associated with a song that was playing at the time.
Wow.
And then later, whenever he hears that song, that discomfort is triggered all over again, even though the original situation is long gone.
That's really interesting, and that kind of makes me think, like, we unconsciously link past experiences to sight, smells, and taste, sounds, even thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And those links shape our current feelings without us even realizing it. So is mindfulness like about completely shutting off those memories and just focusing on the present?
Well, it's not that we erase the past or ignore the future.
Right.
We need those for learning and planning.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is about cultivating an awareness of what's happening in our minds right now without being completely swept away by those thoughts and feelings.
So it's not about like emptying your mind. It's more about having this inner observer who can notice, oh, there's anxiety about that upcoming presentation, but without getting totally lost in the anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The Sutta gives the example of someone working, but they're filled with anger.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in the present moment, but not mindfully.
Right.
Their anger is shaping their entire experience.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like mindfulness is kind of the key to not letting our emotions totally run the show.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Cultivating mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and emotions clearly without judgment, and that way we're not controlled by them.
So instead of being completely consumed by the feeling, we can take a step back and observe, like, oh, there's anger arising.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And that space between us and our thoughts is what allows us to make clear decisions, manage stress, and respond to challenges more skillfully.
All this sounds really valuable, but how do we actually develop more mindfulness? Is it something like a trait we're born with, or are there practical steps we can take?
Well, the Sutta actually offers some guidance on how to cultivate mindfulness.
Okay.
It starts with recognizing the need for it in our lives, cultivating a genuine interest in developing this quality.
So unlike a personality trait, it's something we can actively work towards.
Absolutely. The next step is to deepen our understanding of what mindfulness actually feels like. The Sutta encourages us to observe our own minds. When are we mindful? When is our mind wandering? And what distinguishes those two states?
It sounds like self-awareness is a key component here, noticing those subtle shifts in our mental state.
Exactly. And once you can recognize those shifts, you can start incorporating targeted practices like walking medication or breathing exercises.
Right. Those are the classic mindfulness techniques that we often think of.
Yeah, exactly.
Does the Sutta recommend any other practices?
It also emphasizes the importance of reflection.
Okay.
Specifically analyzing the strongest emotion that you experience each day,
Interesting.
exploring the why behind it, what triggered it, and what were the consequences. By examining the roots of our emotions, we can start to see patterns and better understand how our minds work.
It's almost like keeping a mindfulness journal, but with a focus on that one potent emotion each day.
Yeah.
That's a powerful practice. Are there any other gems of wisdom the Sutta offers?
There's one more that I find particularly fascinating.
Okay.
It's called the go-back technique.
Go back, what's that?
So the Sutta describes monks literally retracing their steps if they realize they walk somewhere mindlessly.
Really?
Yeah, it was a way of resetting and bringing mindful awareness to the action of walking.
So they would just turn around and walk back the same path?
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't always retrace our steps in the modern world.
Right.
But I can see the metaphorical power of this technique.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing when we've zoned out and making that conscious choice to mentally pause and reset our attention.
You got it.
It could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths, bringing your awareness back to your body, and remembering your intention for whatever you're doing in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
These are great practical tips. So cultivating interest, understanding the qualities of mindfulness-targeted practices, reflection, and the go-back technique.
That's it.
And remember, these aren't one-time things. It's about continuously weaving mindfulness into the fabric of our lives moment by moment.
Right.
No pressure then, but that initial statement from the Sutta really stuck with me, the idea that this Dhamma is only for those with cultivated mindfulness.
Yeah, it's a crucial point. Mindfulness isn't some passive state that just happens to us.
Right.
It requires dedicated effort and practice.
The benefits, clear thinking, emotional regulation, skillful action, those seemed well worth the effort. But I'm curious, the Sutta doesn't just connect mindfulness to personal well-being, does it? It seems to link it to something even deeper. It feels like the Sutta is pointing to mindfulness being more than just a tool for personal improvement, like it's suggesting that it's a prerequisite for understanding the Dhamma on a deeper level.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's not just about, feeling calmer or less stressed. The Sutta highlights mindfulness as essential for truly grasping and benefiting from the Buddhist teachings.
So it's not just I'm more mindful, therefore I'm a nicer person. It's suggesting that mindfulness unlocks these deeper levels of wisdom within the Dhamma.
Yeah, and remember that Saranam Sati phrase that we talked about? Mindfulness as remembering the wholesome.
Yeah.
That remembering isn't just about good deeds, it's about remembering the teachings themselves, the truths that the Buddha revealed, but it's a specific type of remembering, one that deeply penetrates our hearts and minds.
It makes me think that if our minds are all scattered and distracted, caught up in our own dramas, then even if we hear the most profound teaching, it won't really sink in.
Yeah, it's like trying to fill a leaky bucket without mindfulness. The teachings can't really take root. They just slip away.
So mindfulness is like creating the container, that mental space where the Dhamma can be received and truly understood. And it's from that understanding that real transformation can happen.
Exactly. Not just surface level change, but a profound shift in how we see the world and our place in it. The Sutta is emphasizing that cultivating mindfulness isn't optional. It's the foundation for engaging with the Dhamma in a way that leads to true liberation.
It's like the Sutta saying you want to unlock the true potential of the Buddha's teachings. Cultivate mindfulness, no entry.
Yeah, that's the essence of it. And it makes you reflect on what aspects of our own lives might be held back by a lack of mindfulness. And, what opportunities are we missing? What wisdom is eluding us simply because we haven't cultivated this essential quality of attention?
That's a really powerful question to consider. It's a little sobering, but also motivating. It highlights the incredible potential that cultivating mindfulness holds.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point to leave our listeners with today. As you go about your day, pay attention to your mind. Notice when it wanders, when it gets hooked by thoughts and emotions, and then gently but persistently bring it back to the present moment. Who knows what insights and possibility might open up when you do.
That's such a valuable reminder. And for those who want to dive deeper into the Anuruddha Sutta itself, we'll be sure to include links in the show notes. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.